We would like to call on Professor Anthony Amoah. He will be taking the discussion on circular economy transition and water access and subsidy incidences. Please, may we give him a round of applause as he comes to the stage.
Good morning. I guess we all enjoyed our night, and I'm picking signals that some people really did not enjoy the night, simply because they left home, they left their wives and husbands and all that, so they couldn't really feel the company of their partners. We apologize for that. We hoping that next time when you are coming, we'll give you room to bring your partners so that you'll be okay. We picked some data yesterday, and the data is suggesting to us that out of 13 people who responded, we got only 2 people who were close to 10, that is around 8, indicating that throughout their stay here, they have been very conscious in the use of water. It's simply because when the opportunity cost is equal to 0, of course, there is no cost burden on you, and the water is warm according to your taste. So when you open it, you don't want to close it. You want to enjoy and enjoy and enjoy at the expense of circular economy. We want proponents of circular economy to bear in mind that it starts from us. Let us not take this thing for granted. Let us start from here. Although it has been paid for, but let's be conscious in how we use water from here. Once it affects you very well and you go home, definitely there is a possible translation or transfer from you to your family. And we expect that they will also carry the message across. Then we'll have a snowballing effect. So this is a challenge to us all before I start my presentation. So I'm speaking on circular economy, of domestic water. If you listen to the discussions very well, and nobody talked about domestic water yesterday. It's as if we decided to leave it for today. So it's a new area that perhaps we'll open it up today for discussion. Why am I interested in circular water, circular economy of domestic water? It's simply because if you want me to conserve water at home, if you want me to optimize the use of water, we are challenging government that there will be the need to incentivize users through subsidies. The claim will come later. But then if we incentivize people in Ghana, what is the structural framework of the nation concerning the use of subsidy or the giving out of subsidy or the disbursement of subsidy? At the end of the day, who gets the subsidy? Is it the rich who already have the ability to pay, or the poor who do not have the ability to pay? Towards the rolling out of circular economy, one of the things we are pushing for is subsidization, incentivize people. But then who gets it? It's one of the things we must discuss now. Either than that, we'll come back here and realize that the vision has not been achieved. So this is what I'm speaking on today. I believe I've given you a background for you to appreciate what I'm talking about. All of us can attest to the fact that um, I'm an economist, so you can describe me as water economist. So I wouldn't act as if I know more about the endowment of water we have as compared to people like Dr. Abbas. From the graphical point of view, or from the map, we can see that Ghana is really endowed with water. In fact, fresh water is not a problem, groundwater is not a problem in Ghana. We are rich so far as water is concerned. If you look at the geographers here will tell you, if you look at the annual so if you look at the annual precipitation, the range suggests that naturally God blesses us every year with enough water. So we shouldn't have a problem with water. That notwithstanding, the various sectors take a lot of the water, to the extent that even fashion industry take a lot of water. This is not from Ghana, so don't try to make meaning out of it from Ghana. Okay. So I try my best to define circular economy in the context of water. Then I say, according to Moseleto and his guys, they define circular economy of water as an economic framework for one, reducing, preserving, and optimizing the use of water. And this is done through waste avoidance, efficient utilization, and quality retention. And the key thing here is, while we are ensuring that what we are doing is not jeopardizing the environment, but then at the end of the day, we achieve conservation. That is the definition. So all that we are talking about, at the end of the day, let us ensure we need charcoal, all right. In our quest for charcoal, are we going to compromise on environmental quality? These are some of the things we should think about. The fact that we say reduce, recycle, reuse, and all that does not suggest that let us do that at the expense of the environment. So over here, wherever you start from, once it gets into the cycle, there is something like a reuse or a recycle process. So whether it is from the primary production, which is this part, or manufacturing or household use, once it gets into the cycle, it goes through it. When it gets here, there is another use for it. It gets back into the system, then the process continues over and over and over. So at the end of the day, you see a recycle or you see a reuse in the process. Why is this so important to our discussion today? It's because it has relevance to the Sustainable Development Goals, and specifically, we are talking about Goal 6, Goal 9, and Goal 12. So if you put all these things together, what exactly are we proposing? We are proposing that we have an effective framework for sustainable use of water or for water management. Where do we? Okay. he didn't cause it. I think the battery went off. No, the battery is with Eunice at the charger. In fact, I don't do presentations standing at one place like this, but I have been warned not to move around. So I wish I can just move around. Um, we are going to use the data we are collecting. So if I think we have only 13 people responded. So if you've been selected to be part of those who are responded, please do your best to respond to the data. There is a call by International Water Association, and we are supposed to submit. So, Ohene, if you are here, a lot of people have not completed. So, if you've not completed the survey, so Ohene, provide the technical assistance so that they'll be able to complete the survey. Please, there is a call on by International Water Association, specifically Water Policy Journal, on circular economy of water. So those who are interested in that can submit papers. You can just do a review. You can just put do commentary. You can put your thoughts together, not necessarily using data. We want to do something qualitative. So we want to put the data here together and write something on that. Okay. Okay, thank you very much for your patience. I guess I can continue from where I left off. So I argue that what we are talking about um, has some basis in the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, in my presentation today, I'm going to focus on two main things: reuse and recycle. Because if you look through what the circular economy literature, reuse and recycle stands out. So my argument is going to be based on that. Now, what is my claim this morning? My claim is very simple, that let's assume I'm an economist. So before I start, all other factors are held constant. I must start with the ceteris paribus assumption that let us assume that if the volume of water per annum, used per annum, per household or meter averagely falls, either as a result of reuse or recycle, can it attract a subsidy incentive. Let's assume the case where in your household, you build a small recycle system that takes your wastewater, recycles the water, as we have done in our university. When you come to my university, all the wastewater are collected. We have a simple system that recycles the water and sends it back to the toilet for us to use it to flush our toilets. That is why we are called Sustainable Development University. I hope you got that one. I'm saying that that is why the name of the university is called University of Environment and Sustainable Development. Um, I went to Kia University. I taught at Central University for over 14 years. There is no evidence of any of these universities having that system. Okay. Those who went to Lagos can attest to the fact that they don't have it either. UCC, of course, you don't have it. Yeah. So another round of applause to the university that is just now. Let me continue with my claim. So we are going to assume the case or the situation where in your household you decide to build a small plant, okay, to recycle water and reuse. Once you do that, the volume of water you use per annum would fall. In that case, the government should see you as somebody who is contributing to the circular economy agenda and incentivize you to do more. So if you use, let's say, X cubic meters in a particular year, and the following year you use X minus 1, we should see the minus 1 as a reduction and the fact that you are supposed to be incentivized or we are supposed to give you something to motivate others to learn from that. Or we can pick another scenario where intentionally, although you don't have a plant or a system that recycles water, but intentionally you put checks on the people in your household and ensure that the volume of water they use per day, per week, per month, and per year reduces as you consume water. So once you do that, we should be able to identify that through the metering system. Then you get an incentive through that. But what is the framework in Ghana if we want to implement something like that? I want to argue using data during the COVID period to tell you that there is evidence that we have a porous framework and that if we decide to roll out an incentive through the metering system, it is not going to be progressive, but it is going to be regressive. So I'll use data from the COVID to justify my case. So this is the total number of people who are connected to the grid. I'm talking about Ghana Water, those who are connected and they get flow to their houses. This data is not coming from me, it's coming from Ghana Statistical Service. Okay, so those who are connected, those who are unconnected, those who are unconnected, so that's the percentage. And those who are connected, it's very sad. And the sad, that what worsens our plight is the fact that this is even not regular. Those who are connected, they don't get, if you are here, you get regular supply of water, then you are blessed by God. During the COVID, a lot of people were told not to go out. So if I'm told not to go out, it suggests that I must stay at home with my family. But then how could I get water if I'm not connected? This worsened the plight of a lot of Ghanaians during the period. So the government, in her wisdom, decided that, okay, in collaboration with Ghana Water, let us find a way of ensuring that people will stay at home, yet get access to water. So what they did was they roll out this free water program and free electricity and all that. But my focus is on water. Okay, so during the period, all of us got free water. Some people will attest to the fact that they didn't get water. Others will tell you they got water. Others will tell you that, oh, I got it for 1 week. Others will tell you I didn't get it at all. Different stories. But then we want to still use that evidence to address the following objectives. So the first one is to find out whether the subsidy during that time has been progressive or regressive. Then we will also go to the second layer, try to unravel the welfare implication of the subsidy. So this is data from Ghana Water Company. They are my very good friends. I'm happy our sister Innocentia is here. She's the regional commercial manager in Volta region. Can we give her a round of applause, please? She's promised me that she'll do her best to ensure that I get data for my work. So I'm saying this on camera so that in case you forget, I'll send you the video. So let's look at the period before COVID, pre-COVID, and let's look at the total water sales or water use. I'm assuming that the total water sold is equal to the total water use. So if you look at the trend here, you could see that the time the subsidy rolled out, there was a spike in water sales and water use. So if you compare the trend during the period of subsidy and before, you could see a clear distinction. Now let's look at post-COVID, and that is interesting. A sharp decline because I'm not going to get it again. It's no more free. I'm going to bear the cost. And that is what that's basically the same way we are all behaving here. Okay. Once you go home, your water use will change, your behavior will change. Let me pause a minute so that we welcome the minister of the region. Can we, with a round of applause and a standing ovation, appreciate the presence of the minister? Honorable, is that place okay for you? Because of your age, I will plead with you if you sit in the middle so that you wouldn't be turning your neck. Uh-huh. Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much. So, Honorable, we're telling a simple story that during the period of COVID, government gave free water. And the people here are excited about that because it's your government that did that. And we are seeing the impact on water use and water consumption. So if you look at the graph, during the period of COVID, because of the impact of the subsidy, you could see that the water use went up. Immediately the government withdrew the subsidy, you can see the sharp decline in water use, simply suggesting that it was a good thing the government did during the period of COVID. Which is of Africa. Prosper, I'm now appreciating what you went through. Yes. Okay. Okay, so can we put the laptop here so that okay, so thank you very much. I'm technical guy and technical lady. Thank you very much. So now let me show, please don't worry about the data. It's just because I did this so that those who are within the regions can appreciate where um, their water use and all that. But let's look at the total. We, on the average, you could see that we've not used water this much. Okay, look at the trend before and after. So you could see that from this period, April till December, you could see the till December, November, December. So you could see the amount of water used. Thereafter, you see that the values are so small and even enters into the negative, attesting to the fact that really there was an impact, okay, on water use. This is how much the government spent during the period. And this data is not coming from me. This data is coming from Ghana Water Company Limited. So this is the total amount spent. They approximated it and reported it in the media, but it still attests to the fact that it's a huge sum of money. Now, this is the total amount that was spent on those who are not connected to the grid. Okay, this is the total. When you sum this, it gives you a fair idea of those who are not connected to the grid, how much they spent on them. So I use the Ghana Living Standard Survey data set 7, which is the latest one. They use systematic sampling technique, which means that no matter what, I can still generalize my findings because it is representative. My research is based on two different angles. The first one is I will calculate the subsidy incidence and show you the subsidy incidence. Then I'll look at the welfare implication. Don't worry about what you see. It's just A and B. Okay. So this is a simple model, and the model has two parts. Let's pick this part. Okay, let's pick just the X. X is a measure of the water subsidy that was given. On that subsidy, I calculated it from two angles. Relax. Those who are connected and those who are not connected. Those who are connected, the subsidy rolled for about a period of 9 months. So we use their monthly expenditure as a proxy to represent how much they got, because how much they spent, I equated that to how much was given to them as subsidy. Then those who are not connected, I use the total amount of money that was given to them by government, that is the 11 million, okay, and I randomly shared it amongst all the people who are not connected. What is interesting about our simulation is that at the end of the day, the results we got is similar to the results, the total amount of money that was spent on water. The only difference was about 10%. And because the data was collected in 2017, we adjusted it based on PURC's adjustment for the period, which is about 10%. So if we account for that 10%, statistically, there is no difference between our estimated values and the values from Ghana Water Company Limited. This is how we calculated the subsidy incidence. So when we say subsidy, what it means in this study is it represents the share of subsidy received by household. So what households received during the period is what we mean by subsidy. Now, let me quickly go back. I'll come back to that. A study has already been done. And if you look at the GLSS data set, they have a measure of welfare. But we don't know how they calculated the welfare. It is not clear how the welfare was calculated. In economics, if we say welfare, it means we are measuring the area under the demand curve. But from the definition given by Ghana Statistical Service, they determine that as the expenditure on food and non-food items. That is not welfare measure. So we decided to recalculate and use a different proxy for that. So we picked all the expenditures from the data, did our calculation, and in fact, because there are different items that they spent on, we decided to use the principal PCA, principal component analysis, to do the computation. Now, this is the evidence or the results that attest to the fact that, yes, we can go ahead and use the principal component analysis. So these are some tests. Please don't worry about the test. Those who know, they know. But those who do not want to bother themselves with statistics and all that, know that at the end of the day, we had about 53 variation, which gave us the audacity to go ahead and use the principal component analysis. This is just the descriptive statistics based on the index we calculated. Now, with the subsidy, we realized that some people were getting zero. If you really want to plug this in a regression and transform it into log, definitely you will have challenges, because once you log zero, you know what will happen. So in order to address that gap, we decided to use the inverse hyperbolic sign to address that. So we use that to transform our variables, both the dependent variable and the independent variable, which means that all zeros were still accounted for in the model. Now results. We don't have any technical thing to talk about again. Results. Those in Greater Accra, this is the share of water connections by household. So those who are connected in terms of water, a lot of people are connected in the Greater Accra region than the other regions. Where is Volta? Okay, Madam, if I'm lying, you tell me that I'm lying. Okay. Then again, because a lot more people are connected in the in Greater Accra region, obviously the subsidy was released through the taps. So it is no news that Greater Accra region got a lot of the subsidies. Let's disaggregate it and look at it from those who are educated and those who are not educated. Of course, this is biased towards those who have secondary and university level education. Although a lot of us, it means that those who are connected are predominantly those who have at least secondary and university level and above. Those who are connected to Ghana Water, because the thing is coming from Ghana Water. So of course, a lot more people from Ghana Water will get the subsidy. We grouped it according to incomes. Then we said, okay, let's look at, please, income decile 1 suggests that those people are very poor. Income decile 10 suggests that those people are relatively rich. You could see a certain trend which suggests that the subsidy, although was important and the government spent a lot, the framework of the country is appointed as in terms of the distribution of the subsidy. And a lot of the rich people who are connected to the grid really got this, the subsidy. So going forward, if we are thinking about circular economy, we're going to roll out subsidies based on the same framework, we need a rethink as a country. Either than that, we will roll out the subsidy and the rich will again get it and the poor will not get it. I'm looking at the framework or the structure of the Ghanaian economy and how it presents a certain level of disadvantage to the poor or the lower income as compared to the rich. Now, one thing that I will not take out or I'll not take for granted is how much went to the very poor. You could see that although it is regressive, the very poor, for once, got something that is quite appreciable. It means that the government, to a certain extent, or with our porous framework, they did well by ensuring that at least the very poor are not discriminated against in the distribution of the subsidy. Let's look at rural urban, of course. Urban people got more, look at rural. But let me say this, almost all of us are coming from rural areas. And when we get to the city, we don't think about our people again. Look at the distribution. Clear discrimination against the rural areas. Why? Because they are not connected. This is regression analysis. So normally you see your regression as Y. This is another regression, okay? If you look at the curve, you see that it is an inverted U shape, which suggests that they rolled out the subsidy, welfare increased up to a point and began to decline. So you could see on the average, you can conclude from this that the subsidy that was rolled out by government had positive welfare implications. Although it is regressive, yes, we admit that. But in terms of welfare, it improved the well-being of people in Ghana. And I think that is a plus to the government. If you pick the average here, pick the average of the last 3 quintiles or deciles, you see that the average here is not even up to this point, which suggests that still there is evidence of regressive distribution of the national cake. This is further disaggregation of the results. I will not bore you with this, which also suggests, give evidence of the robustness of the results. Okay, it suggests that what is interesting to me here is that even with the urban areas, if you add the subsidy, you see a positive effect on their well-being. Then, of course, the subsidy had overall positive effect across the income quintiles. In conclusion, what I want to say is very simple. Indeed, the program appears regressive. Let us also not lose sight of the fact that it has had a positive effect in terms of our welfare. If we really want to consider circular economy and how welfare, how subsidy can really impact on the implementation of this, of circular economy, then the argument is, let us have a look again at the structure of the Ghanaian economy in terms of the distribution of the subsidy. Is it going to be given to those who are learned? Is it going to be, are we going to discriminate against the poor? Are we going to discriminate against women? Are we going to discriminate against the young ones? Let us check the extent to which we discriminate, because the evidence is saying that it has been regressive, but then there is a positive effect on welfare. This evidence has been supported by earlier studies like the COA and Nkrumah. They did different studies. One focusing on electricity, the other water and electricity. We just focused on this. The only difference between their estimation is Nkrumah mistakenly used the welfare computation from Ghana Statistical Service. Okay, we decided not to use that. Okay, we did something different. Then we conclude that blanket subsidies in a network that is porous or has high social inequalities is just not the best, because at the end of the day, it will be regressive. We recommend that we should have proper profiling, proper reorganization, proper classification, so that when you implement the subsidy, the right people will get the right amount of subsidy. On this note, I want to say thank you.
Please, let's give it to him one more time. Let's do it one more time. Thank you very much, Prof. Amoah. Thank you very much. The issue of water is very key. The issue of water is important, and extensive study has been done in this area. We are grateful for such study that educates us. This morning, we are very lucky, blessed to have in our presence the Volta Regional Minister in the presence of Dr. Ajabo Lecha. Please, let's give him an official round of applause. We are most grateful for your presence, sir. Thank you. Now, the presentation was good, but I still need to ask, do we have any questions for Prof. Amoah? Hey, okay, please, let's discuss. So we'll take some questions or comments, and then Prof can respond to them. Okay, I've seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Good number. So please, may we have the microphones going around? I'll start from my left. Dr. Sadega had her hand up first.
Let me use this place as an example. When I was coming from my house, there was one statement I left with my wife, and that is, please ensure that the kids do not waste the water. Okay. But when I got here, because I'm paying for that, when I got here, the first night, I really used water because it is free. In Ghana, once it is free, okay, we want to use it as if we don't care. So that accounted for the sharp decline. Now people are paying. So of course, I don't want to be part of those who are paying so quickly. Or even if I want to pay, I don't want to pay an amount that is equal to my consumption. So people started withdrawing. So it is as a result of withdrawal in consumption that brought about that sharp decline. They rather use more water. Yes. 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 Okay, so Ghana Water wants to speak. Yes. Yes. So my graph is correct. I think that makes a lot of sense. My sister here will tell you that she is in charge of data, but for her to release data to me, she has to contact head office and wait for approval. And it's possible the approval will never come. So access to data from both, it's so difficult. That is why our work is based on simulation. We got a baseline data and we simulated the others. So we said that, okay, if Ghana Water during the period spent X amount of money on you, then we can use that as a proxy and forecast. So that is what we did. So it is not that we did not include a proxy for the rural water. We used a proxy for them, but we did not get their hardcore data. We used the expenditures that they made on them during, yeah.
Dr. Ampo, please, let me interrupt you, please. Because we are taking records at the back, did he hear anything you said? So they were signaling me to please go over. Thank you.
From my data set. Okay, so my data is not based on pricing. No. I didn't use pricing. I use volume consumed. Okay, so let me paint the picture well. So what I'm saying is that I looked at how much the government spent on individual A and individual B during a certain period. And I used that as a proxy for his consumption and for her consumption. And based on that, I did simulation. And my simulation converged statistically with the actual data. Are you getting it? That is why we were able to draw inferences out of it. So we use proxies to do our forecasting, but it was consistent with the hardcore data. Are you getting my? So we did not use prices per se. That is why all along I was showing you consumption and usage and all that. But then it is true that in rural, if you look at the disaggregated data, you could see that the rural, if you look at the estimate, you could see that it was negative. That means that even if you compared before the subsidy, if you compared rural and urban, the welfare implication is higher in rural areas as compared to urban because there's irregular supply and all that. But then if you interact that with the subsidy, it changes automatically to a positive sign, suggesting that they are now, during the period of subsidy, they were better off as compared to the rural areas. So what you have said makes a lot of sense, that we should have gone for community water data. But what I'm saying is that we needed not to go for that simply because we are only doing simulations and we had the baseline data for our simulation. Thank you. Please, my problem is I'm unable to take more than 2 questions. So if you ask one, let me quickly respond to it. I beg. Oh, yes. Let me respond to it. You are picking the extremes and drawing conclusion. Pick the overall and draw the conclusion. So it's, I showed you 2 graphs. The first one, the incidence was around 0.16 or so. Okay. And this one was 25. Even if you added that to the next decile, even 3, the last 3, you realize that it's not even up to the 25. Okay, that suggested that still the rich got more as compared to the very poor. So that gives you evidence of a regressive pattern. Then again, if you look at the regression line, okay, I intentionally indicated that let's pick the last 3 deciles. 1, 2, 3. Look at the average, and you realize that it was not comparable to the one that was on the extreme right, suggesting that it gives evidence of the fact that it's regressive.
Great. Okay. Let me plead with you. Kindly hold on to your questions. And let's take our remarks from the minister. He has another engagement and will have to take leave of us. So please keep your questions. When we get back to the hall in the afternoon, we'll continue with Prof before we go to the next panel discussion. Please let's welcome Honorable Minister Yalecha.
Thank you very much. When Prof was doing the presentation, I came in halfway, and I remembered what happened to us in the University of Ghana in 1977. When we were not taking the statistics class seriously, and we had a professor called Professor Kovinti. Professor Kovinti came to class one day and said, "You think you had 1 in mathematics A-level, so you are joking with my subject. So he gave us an exam, and we held our pens, and we keep writing it. I said, okay, now you take your statistics classes seriously. I should have been here earlier, but because of several engagements that we have, I was unable to come. And this morning too, we are going to commission a waste recycling plant at Akrofu at 10 a.m. And I felt it was important for me to come and welcome you officially to my region and to tell you that this is the oxygen city of Ghana. Studies were actually done by EPA. Realized that the air we breathe here is the purest in Ghana in terms of oxygen, and because of the greenery. If you travel outside this town, you're going to Amejope, you will see how greenery the place is, and you feel like coming back here. And I'm sure that some of you are surprised that over here there's no traffic. I leave my house, I left the residency within 3-4 minutes. I was here. So there's no air pollution here. You realize that our environment is also clean, very, very clean. I think it's only Sunyani that competes with us when it comes to cleanliness, and maybe Somanya. I was discussing with Prof what the blue economy means, green economy, yellow economy, red economy. I was quite confused, but at the end of the day, we are all talking about sustainable development. And when he was mentioning the water subsidies, at least I was happy to hear that my government was getting some credit. But you see, we have to look at targeting. When we want to help the poor people, we, those who are privileged, should not be parasiting on the poor people. In every sector, we were discussing issues about how to raise money for the economy, and people, the transport owners were saying that not many people pay road tolls. If you are from East Legon, living at East Legon, working at cantonments, will you pay any road toll? You don't pay road tolls. So road tolls actually tax the poor people. So how do we get a rich person like Professor? What we can get rich person like Professor is to put 1 cedi, 2 cedis on a liter of fuel. Will that not be better? So that we target him. So in other words, there should be targeting. People say that there is, because of money, people are not able to go to school. We want to help those without money so that they can also have access to education. And then my child is also benefiting from that. What does that mean? We are parasiting on what should have been used for poor people. Is that not so? So, Professor, I heard what you said, but most of them I didn't understand. Something is regressive, and meanwhile, it is positive. Regressive. And then at the end of the day, it had impact on poor people, but the rich people benefited also. So these are things that should be, these presentations should be brought to the attention of government so that it can have it reflect in the policies that government comes out with. It's very, very important, even though you have to break it down to a level that we cannot understand. So all that you presented, if you can put it in something that we can understand. You understand what I mean, Prof? Because the thing was, the people here, they were following. But those of us who led the university 40 years ago, who not understand most of it. So please, at the end of the day, let's let's also know what has been discussed and what outcomes can be brought to the attention of government. If I'm the minister for the region and there are issues, you have had a meeting here, and there are certain things that I can bring to the attention of government. I should be able to do that. I should be able to say that there was a 2023 Sustainable Development Conference here in Ho, and these are some of the things that I should be able to discuss that with the president, and that would impact on policy. So welcome once again. I've seen that you getting out of Ho. There is a program that takes you out of Ho, but that'll be fine. I don't know where you'll be going, but where? Well, oh, just here. Oh, okay. Please, the waste management at Akrofu PM. Is it Akrofu? Oh, will you take them through my village or through Sokode Akrofu? You take them to Klebe. All right, okay, thank you. So, but at least you'd, if you had time to at least drive to Amejope, it would have been fine. We have a very wonderful canopy walkway. That was the purpose of which was to conserve some animal species. There were some conservative. Yeah, there was some people in that field who thought that there were some species that had gone extinct, and they found it in Amejope. And some species, there's one, nobody from Amejope here. The delicacy in Amejope called pasamene is a species of frog. And it was thought that it had gone extinct, but it was found there. And so we have to provide some alternative livelihood for the people to save the species. And that is how the canopy walkway came into being. So that is to generate revenue for the upkeep of the community, so that they can leave the delicacy alone. So a lot of environmentalists are there, and it is something that you should come back to see if you don't have time now. I invite Professor Amoah and his family to come, and we'll go there. But when you come and we are interacting, come down small. Thank you very much.
I guess the minister needs another round of applause. That's very interesting. He's given us tourist information. He's given us conservation information all in one remarks, and that's very beautiful. I guess if the if the bus is not in, it is okay. So please, kindly safeguard your items, so that we can make way downstairs and join the bus in 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, Madam Eunice says 5 minutes. 5 minutes, oh, she'll take her bus away. 5 minutes, we should be down.